Hello collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Voyager class Ironhide from the Transformers Studio Series 86 line from Hasbro. So if we take a look down here, you can see he is 17th in the 86 line, written very small there on the bottom. Really nice artwork for Ironhide here on the front. Then you got a real close-up shot here on the side, and then a little bit of a wider shot, so you have all the options, but it's all the same artwork there. Turning it around to the back, we have nice product shots of the robot mode and the vehicle mode. I'm pretty excited for this guy. I think he looks pretty cool. Pretty standard packaging here, though. You have the really nice Transformers, the movie logo there on top. Nothing really going on the bottom, so... I'm excited that you can actually see him. They've always been a little off with these, but I feel like he's situated pretty nicely in the box there. So, gonna go ahead, get him out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Ironhide with the backdrop that is included, and of course, just like with Core Class Ratchet, they have given him the backdrop of the shuttle, where he meets his unfortunate end. I know he wasn't in the movie that long, but we couldn't focus on any of the other moments, maybe that were a little bit happier, like when he was looking at the computer console, or when he was driving down the ramp. I don't know, just something. They have to dwell on the one scene where he gets shot. I mean, that's kind of a bummer, isn't it? But here he is. It is a nice backdrop. It does very much resemble the shuttle. I guess technically you could use it for later on in the movie when like Hot Rod, Cup, and the Dinobots are escaping in the shuttle, if you'd like to dwell on happier times. But in any case, it's a nice looking backdrop. Here is Studio Series 86 Ironhide out of the packaging. He looks pretty great. I think they did a nice job with this mold. He doesn't have a ton of kibble. He's got this little bit here on the back and a little bit here on the legs, but for the most part, he looks pretty fantastic. He does come with these two twin blasters here. I'm going to take these out of his hands. They are, I guess, cast in black and then painted silver. But they look pretty great. They are identical as far as I can tell. Now, the nice thing about these is you have a ton of options for storing these on the figure, which I think is actually pretty cool. So you've got these two pegs here on the back. If you want, you can store these like this. If you want to give him kind of like a guns on the back look, which I think looks kind of cool. Definitely not something the character had on the show, but something you could do. If you don't want that look, you could just flip them around and have them point straight down. That way you don't really see them from the front, but you still could store them there, which is nice. Or you can actually store them down here on the legs, which is where they will actually also store in vehicle mode. So you have that option as well. Now you can kind of see them from the back, or I should say see them from the front. But that is another option. So you have plenty of places to store the guns, or you can just take them and put them off to the side. So let's take a look at the robot mode. I think it looks pretty great. I mean, for once, we actually have like nice, just gunmetal gray shoulders, exactly like he looked like in the cartoon. Not a weird color or black for some unknown reason. I think they did a great job with this. The head sculpt looks good. The eyes are a little hidden by his kind of like giant crest here of his head, but very nicely painted. You have a nice silver face there, nice blue for the eyes. The helmet is very nicely sculpted. Now this is a ball joint, so you can look up, you can look down, side to side. You can even tilt a little bit side to side. Nice range of motion there. You have actual translucent blue plastic there for the window on the chest. Really nice rotation here in the shoulder as well as the hinge. They filled it in, which is nice. So you have a piece of plastic there so it doesn't just look like it's on this pin and there's all that empty space, which I appreciate. You have a bicep swivel, 90 degrees there in the elbow. You do have a wrist swivel as well. And those, I believe, are cast out of red plastic, but then painted gray, which looks really nice. You have a nice waist swivel here. Now, this hip flap here, or waist flap, whatever you want to call this, it looks like originally it was supposed to be 3 separate pieces, but I'm guessing just the plastic tolerances, you know, just weren't going to be able to pull it off if they would have cut it there. I've seen some people online actually cut it on those lines, and it still somehow works, but I feel like, you know, that thin piece on each side just would not have worked. But I feel like you could have just had this piece just bolted on to this and then just have 2 flaps and you wouldn't have had to have this piece move at all. So I don't know. It was obviously some kind of budget thing where they just made this one solid piece. But you can absolutely kick this far forward, kick decently back, kick out to the side, no problems there. You have a thigh swivel. You have pretty much 90 degrees there in the knee, and then you do have ankle tilt. Now, because of the way this transforms, you actually can move the foot front to back. It's like connected here at the back, which looks a little weird, but then you can certainly get ankle tilt side to side as well. So he's got a nice range of articulation, and I really like the accessories that he has. Let's do a quick comparison here. Now, I don't have Earthrise Ironhide handy, but I do have Diaclone Guard, which is the same mold. So the colors are obviously just a little weird. I mean, obviously the first thing to point out, this does not exist on the Studio Series, so that's already a major improvement. I will say that this one's probably a little cleaner in terms of kibble. I mean, they both kind of have that same, like, front fender on the back there. He doesn't have as much hanging off the back of the legs, but in all honesty, you know, these are kind of similar in terms of that. I think the head sculpt over here is definitely more cartoon accurate. I mean, not that this was a bad mold, it wasn't, but just the fact that you don't have this thing that you have to clip on top is a big difference. I think it makes a really big difference. And you're going to see later, too, we're not going to have the feet sticking off the back of the vehicle mode, which is another big difference. So, all in all, I definitely think this is the superior mold. Now, at the time, this was a deluxe, and it was pretty huge for a deluxe. So, they've kind of bumped this up to Voyager, and he feels a little bit more solid. Like, if I'm holding these two, this guy definitely feels more hollow, and this guy feels bulkier, so I get it. And I think they just took a lot extra care with the paint applications, and there's more translucent plastic and everything like that, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. But yeah, I just think this was definitely fine. Well, the Siege one was really good. The Earthrise one I was never a huge fan of, just because I hated this. And this is now gone, so I think this is going to end up being the winner. Also, I just think the whole chest and, like, waist area is better over here. This wasn't terrible, but I think this is definitely more refined and just looks a lot better and cleaner and tighter as opposed to the Earthrise one. So, just wanted to do a quick comparison there. Let's go ahead, let's get into transformation. Alright, so we're going to start off by opening up the chest here. This is going to pop out to reveal a second part of the hood of the car, which we're going to flip out. Then we're going to flip out these little pieces here. And on mine, the pins have kind of started to pop out, so if that happens at all, just kind of push them back in. But these have gotten a little weird, and you can see they kind of slide out, which is not great. But I don't think the pins are in danger of falling out, at least not yet. We're going to go ahead and rotate the head inside. And then this is kind of supposed to come up and, like, the directions make it seem like it's going to snap in place. Mine doesn't really, but we'll just kind of leave it there like that for now. We're going to take the arms. We're going to have to bring this piece down like this. The arms are going to come back on this hinge, and you can see how, like, the flat part of the shoulder will rest against this flat edge. So bring that in and then just kind of, like, line that up so that it lays flat, and then the two arms will snap together. And then you're actually going to bend them down and bend the fists down. And this is going to become part of the roof of the van. At this point, we're going to unhook this here. And then do not spin the waist. You're going to spin this ball or pillar piece like this so that that spins around. And then this is going to come up, and these two tabs right here are going to tab into what was the waist piece. So make sure that's as flat against that as you can. Just kind of leave this down here for now. We're going to leave that open. We're going to come to the legs. There are these little flaps here on the shins that you're going to flip up like so. And that is going to give you room to move the legs around. So this is actually really cool in my opinion. This is going to flip up. Then you're going to flip this section out. This is going to flip out. And then this is going to come around and come up here like this. So we're going to repeat that over here. This is going to come up. This is going to flip out. This is going to flip to the side. And then this is going to come up here like this. At this point, you want to snap the legs together. And all these pieces will also snap together. There's kind of a connection there. There's a connection down here. And then this will come together and clip on to the legs. So make sure that that's all together. like so. You have some really nice silver paint here for the back bumper. Just make sure everything is snapped together. For whatever reason, mine does not like to stay together, and this is going to be a common issue. So at this point, we're going to kind of lift up that waist flap just the tiniest bit so that we can kind of bring this up and bend it a little bit, and then this is going to kind of join up with the arms here to fill in the rest of the roof of the van, like that. At this point, this is going to flip around, this is going to flip up. This little tab right here is supposed to tab in right there, and then there's kind of a translucent blue square right there, which is supposed to go in right there. And I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or whatever's going on, but these do not want to stay in on mine. Now you can already kind of see I must have something misaligned a little bit because they don't quite line up perfectly as much as I'd like them to. So I'm sure I'm doing something at a wrong angle or something. I'm just not. I've played with this for quite some time and I can't really figure out what I don't have lining up. But this goes up in here, and then this is supposed to peg in there, and then repeat this over here, and then this is supposed to peg in there, and you can see that mine just do not, like as soon as you peg them in, they just immediately pop out. But if you can get them to stay together, this is the other part that's really weird. So the clips on this are these tiny little like downward facing clips, and I don't really understand where they're supposed to peg in here. Are they supposed to grasp on to the top of this? I mean, that's what's pulling these out. The reason these are pulling out, you can see there's the tiniest little like knob right there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to pull them out. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. I don't think so. But I think these are supposed to clip on top of that, and you can see how it's popping the pins out. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but you have to really kind of... Mine just does not want to cooperate. And it's really kind of difficult. And I don't know what I'm doing incorrectly, but there we go. Then you can bring this up and click that into place. So, I mean, honestly, all said and done, it's a pretty cool little van mode. I just wish it held together better. I'm thinking about maybe just kind of putting a rubber band or something around this and letting it sit overnight. Because I feel like that just needs to... I've tried to like look and see what I don't have lined up, but from everything I can tell, everything is connected correctly and lined up, and I've messed with it for a while. I don't know if it's just the translucent plastic, but like these pieces here do not want to connect the way they are supposed to. It almost feels like these don't go in enough, which is causing this to buckle, and then once you connect this piece, that's causing it to flay out as well. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's just stuff on mine is a little, you know, misshapen or malformed, or I don't know. It might just be a little bent or warped or something like that. But I mean, when you can get it together, it's a great looking little van mode. I like it a lot. You have translucent windows pretty much all the way around, which is really cool. Now, there's not anything back here. I kind of wish they would have at least painted this blue, but I get it. You have some really nice silver there. It rolls pretty well. You can go ahead and mount those weapons on here like I talked about earlier. If they do something like that. You can't really have them... Well, no, you can. You can. I was afraid that they were hit into each other, but you can have them mounted something like that. You'll notice that there's no, like, peg holes anywhere on the body. I think that's an effort to keep it clean, since it's in the Studio Series, which I do appreciate. But yeah, all in all, it's a really nice vehicle mode. I just wish it held together a little better. And I've seen other people, I think mine's just some kind of QC issue, because I've seen other people online not have the same problems. I just don't know why this, because that's honestly the only problem. If these clipped in better and stayed the way they were supposed to, then everything else would be fine. So like I said, maybe I'll try a rubber band or something just to kind of really, if it is warped, maybe I can warp it back. But just to do a quick comparison here, here is the Earthrise mold. And first of all, you don't have giant feet hanging out the back anymore. That's already the biggest positive in my mind. You know, back in the day, now you don't notice it as much here with Guard, but Ironhide, this giant black block, that's how they had the shoulder on Ironhide as well. So you'd have the whole red of the van and then just a giant black block. Plus you'd go from translucent plastic to translucent plastic. In the same window you have just plastic there and then plastic for the back. So you have translucent plastic for the first half, regular plastic for the back half, and you actually divide a window in half with half of each way, which I always thought looked terrible. You're not running into that here. It's all translucent plastic, uniform, looks nice, really well done. So, like I said, I miss it on the back, but I'll take it because you don't have this window split in half, translucent plastic and regular plastic on that side. So I really appreciate that. I really think that just, you know, putting these two next to each other, between the feet sticking out the back, the windows on the side, and this giant dome that you don't have, I just think this is so much better. So even with all the QC issues aside, I still think this is a really great figure. I think the robot mode looks fantastic. I think the head sculpt is great. I really like the translucent window here for the chest. I think the chest and the crotch area are just a lot tighter and cleaner and just look a lot better in terms of the comparison with the Earthrise mold. I really like the shoulders. I like that they kind of gave that hinge inside the shoulder so it's not empty when you have the hinge on the side. He's got a little bit of kibble, but again, really not that much. I really like the way the feet transform. I think that's really cool. I'm so happy that they don't just have the feet hanging off the back of the vehicle mode again. And all in all, I just think it's a really good mold of Ironhide. I think they did a really nice job. I think it's easily the best one we've gotten so far. As long as you get one that you can transform and all the pieces actually snap in the way they're supposed to, he's pretty flawless. I mean, that's the only problem with mine. And like I said, I'm hoping it's just a QC issue with mine and not a widespread problem. And I've seen other people online have not as big a problem with it. So again, I'm hoping it's just isolated to mine. But all in all, it's a really great figure. I can make it work. I mean, those pieces don't really peg in as tightly as they should. Like I said, I'm maybe thinking of just putting a rubber band around it overnight and kind of warping that plastic back the way I need it to, because I think that's what it is. I think just maybe the plastic on mine is a little warped. And you see it sometimes with the translucent plastic, and I worry about that because they take the translucent plastic and they have to paint parts of it, and it's brittler and fragiler than just normal plastic, so we'll see how it holds up. The other problem with painting translucent plastic, you run into different shades of red. So you can already kind of see that, like, the bicep is a shade of red different from the forearm. And then, of course, you have a darker red here on the chest because that's painted translucent plastic. So you run into those kinds of things. But all in all, I still think this guy's a ton of fun. They're going to do him again as Ratchet. Maybe I'll get better luck and the Ratchet will transform a little bit better than this guy does. And I don't want to say that he doesn't transform well, because the transformation is actually really impressive and really neat. And like I said, I love the way the feet transform and form the back of the van, because that's something that they really needed to do, and that was my biggest problem with the Earthrise mold. It's just that mine, unfortunately, I think those panels are a little warped, and as a result, it just doesn't peg in as nicely as it should. But it holds together all right. So, like I said, just something to be a little wary of. Hopefully you don't have the same issue. But if you get one that's, you know, no QC issue and transforms perfectly and cleanly, this guy's pretty fantastic. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.